Hey everyone, what's up and welcome. Today we're going to be doing a full Splitgate 2 settings guide. I wanted to break down my settings in detail just because I feel like a lot of people have been starting their Splitgate 2 journey. The game's been a lot of fun and there are a lot of settings that some people might not be aware of how they work and other settings that you might want to consider changing because they do heavily influence your gameplay. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this. Thanks so much for supporting the video and leave a like if you guys enjoy it. Let's get into the settings. All right, before we get started, I want to make a note that I am playing on PC, so you will have the full range of settings to look at here. In terms of our video settings, if you're playing on console, I'm pretty sure you only have an FOV slider. I've set my field of view to 103. I like max FOV. Obviously, there are benefits to having a lower FOV in that it makes targets bigger, they're easier to see. It's basically a free scope, but in a game like this, there's a lot of target switching and being able to see as much on your screen is just beneficial. More info, the more easily you can react to stuff. I like 103, and 103 isn't even that big of an FOV. I do play at 1440p on full screen settings. I have VSync turned off, and in terms of my quality settings, this is all pretty basic. Everything is set to low except my texture quality, which is set to epic. Or ultra, and then I also have my portal frame rate set to ultra as well. This is actually a setting you want to have on ultra, even if you have like a low end PC. When you're looking through portals, it just makes the person you're looking at through the other end of the portal a lot less framey. So definitely keep this one on. I just like my textures higher as well. If you have a really low on PC, you could just turn this low as well. It just looks nice when it's on ultra. Now this setting was added in the last update, see-through world portals. This is specifically going to be affecting the battle royale mode when you are going from world to world as the ring progressively gets smaller and smaller. If you have this setting off, it basically just makes it so there's almost like a jelly filter over top of the barrier between the worlds. Like you can't see it. Literally looks like you're looking at like a pool of goo. But if you turn it on, you can actually see through the worlds. And so it's kind of like a Gaussian blur effect. It's very minimal, but you can still see people on the other end. I highly suggest you still keep this on. There's a bit of a performance boost you get from keeping it off because it's not rendering in things in advance. But for the information that you'd be missing if a guy was right there on the other side of it and he saw you and you didn't see him, it'd be pretty bad. So keep that on. Super resolution method, I have this set to none. DLA honestly looks good, like the DLSS feature, and then I set that to DLA, but I just keep it off. You get like honestly anywhere from like a 30, some people even gotten like a 50 frame boost by having this off. So I'll keep this off. It does make your game look a little bit more edgy, just a little less smooth, but I think it's well worth the performance boost you get. A frame generation method, some people do turn this on. I don't even have the option, but I never recommend turning on frame generation in any game. It's creates a lot of input latency, and especially in a competitive video game like this, you would feel it. Don't turn that on. A low latency method, I do have NVIDIA Reflex turned on, and then I also have that set to enabled. Depending on your PC and the way you have your NVIDIA control panel set up is going to influence what you would do. But for me personally, I had this on just on. Moving over to my input settings, I do play on keyboard and mouse in this game, so I'm not going to be touching on my specific controller settings today. But in terms of my key bindings and my sensitivities, I will give to light what I use here. I play on a 0.9 sensitivity. I play at 1600 DPI on my mouse. And this works out to exactly 45 centimeters per 360. If you took a ruler and you put it on your desk, do a ruler plus 15 centimeters, move your mouse that much, that would do one full 360. I also have my zoom sensitivity multiplier set to 1.8. The reason why it's doubled is because this basically matches my hip fire to my ADS. There really is never even a need to ADS in this game, but it makes it so that I move my mouse the same amount of distance, whether I am scoped in or not scoped in. It just changes the zoom, the FOV. So that's why I have that. In terms of my inverting, I don't do any of that. Auto sprint, I do have turned off. I just don't like it when sometimes I want to be walking and be prepared from the hip to shoot someone, and my guy just breaks out into sprint, which can cause sprint to fire issues. I just don't like auto sprint on. Auto jetpacks though, I do like. Auto jetpacks, after testing it, it basically makes it so that if you were to jump and then continue to hold your spacebar, you would then activate your jump pack. And I initially had this off, but after a couple of instances where I was spamming jump and honestly would have flown and gone away from a guy sooner had I been able to just hold down spacebar, I actually appreciated the auto jetpack setting and ended up turning it back on. So I'm going to be keeping this. There's a very low chance you would ever accidentally activate this. Like no one just holds down their space bar. And so I don't actually think in terms of an auto setting, it's bad whatsoever. I actually find it quite beneficial. Moving over to my keybinds, all of this stuff is very simple. Everything that you see here is default. The only setting that I have changed is specific to my scroll wheel. Normally on scroll wheel, you have next weapon up, previous weapon down on your scroll wheel, but I don't like switching my weapons with my scroll wheel. And so I have changed those to create portal alternating and switch alternating portal. I'm going to create a portal by scrolling up on my mouse, and I'm going to alternate the portal by scrolling down on my mouse. There are a lot of people who like to use create portal left and create portal right. This is actually, I guess you could say, a more manual route to operating portals. Creating portal left, creating portal right, those are going to be the opposing ends of portals that you create. And you can designate a specific bind to each of these portals, which can be highly beneficial in a lot of scenarios. Alternating portal basically makes it so that every single time you shoot a portal with a singular bind, which we have set to scroll up along with E, which is the default bind, it will alternate between the portals. So if you put down a portal, it'll go portal left. You shoot that portal again, it'll go portal right. You can walk through that and make it to the other end of the portal. The reason why I've actually decided to stick with the alternating portal rather than having the manual portals all the time is because in specific instances where I want to set the same portal that I just set, I can do so with a quick flick down on my mouse and then quick flick up. This basically gives you the same amount of control as you have with portal left, portal right. But I find in the moments where I would rather have consistent alternating portals, it's a lot less to think about if you have the alternating portal setting activated. So that's why I like this. Honestly, there really is not a ton of difference. You have just as much control on both ends here. Pick your fancy. If you want a more manual route, go left, right, scroll up, scroll down. If you don't mind the alternating and would rather switch here and there when you need it, you have that option here to have the fine tune of left and right portals. Just to conclude this section of the video, in case there's any wavering on which direction you want to go in terms of bindings for the portals, there is a lot of tech to do with your portals in Splitgate. And although it can be pretty overwhelming, there is just as much capability to execute all of that tech on either one of these binding solutions. They are just different routes to learn down, and neither of which are going to gatekeep you from any of the tech that's available. So yeah, pick either or, whatever intrigues you most. One is just managing the other more and less, another is more and less. So yeah, take your pick. Moving on to the audio settings, I did actually make a couple of changes. All this is 0.75 default. I did turn off my music just because I listen to my own music, and my hit marker audio I have changed to classic. Classic sounds like classic Splitgate, Splitgate 1. And if you've ever been on the fence about which one to choose, just go in game and try them out each for a match. They're honestly pretty cool. Default sounds good, but classic is just, I don't know, it kind of tickles the brain a little bit. You could turn it off, but I actually like the hit marker feedback, so I keep it on classic. In terms of gameplay, we have enable blood. If you don't like blood or 5 years old, just turn that off. Smart portal swapping. Smart portal swapping, this is what's going to allow you to hit those like alternating portals. So if you like that and you want to go that direction, I highly recommend keeping that on. And in terms of showing enemy team colors, this you're going to keep on, and I'll explain why in a second once we get down to the accessibility settings. Chat. Set this to custom to you. I do have voice chat enabled. Online services, I do have crossplay enabled. Accessibility, this is where I've made some adjustments. Color correction, I have none. These are basically colorblind settings. If you're not colorblind, I mean, some people like it. I don't like it because you can manually change everything on your own. Subtitles I have off. My allied color is on default. It is a pale blue. But the rest of my colors have been set to the green color. Enemy colors and multi-team 1, 2, 3, and 4 colors. This makes it so that all enemies appear the same. I mean, I don't really care what team you're on. I just want to know that you're an enemy, and so all my enemies appear green. And the reason why we wanted to have under the gameplay settings show enemy team colors on is so that you see these colors. I'll see all enemies as green, and I'll see all allies as blue. I know some people are kind of off-putted by the concept of seeing enemies as green because normally they're red, but green is a very attention grabbing color. It's what I make my crosshair, it's what I make my enemies, it's what I make anything that's an outline. It's green if it's not friendly. So yeah, I like it. Give it a shot. I think you could honestly find a lot of success with it in terms of it grabbing your attention if you get used to it. I've been using it for quite a while now. And lastly, in terms of my crosshair color and my crosshair enemy color, I'm pretty sure this setting is basically if you were to like hover over an enemy, it would change the color of your crosshair. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's just me assuming how it works based off my interpretation of it. But that's why I've also set that to green. I don't really want it to change color. Just leave my crosshair alone. Leave it as green. Show sprint crosshair. This is important to turn off if you want it to if you want all of your custom crosshair icons to override that. When I have all of these crosshairs set to a dot and I have the show sprint crosshair on, it overrides. Like I don't see my dot. I feel like when I'm using my tempo assault rifle, I see like an upside down V. That's normally what I get. So I turned it off. I have a dot on everything. I know this isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea. Some people get lost in the dot. Like sometimes they lose the center of their screen. But I use a dot when I like play Kovacs and aim trains. So it just keeps it simple for me. A dot, I keep it green, and I turn this off so that everything is a dot. The one I actually would recommend if you are buying into the dot concept to change, if you're not used to it, could be for your shotguns. Shotguns with a dot is sometimes a little bit off-putting. I even still kind of like having a bigger crosshair for shotguns just to more accurately represent the spread of the weapon. And so yeah, you could change that or leave your shotguns on default, but I have everything on a dot. That's gonna do it for all of my Splitgate 2 settings, and hopefully the video helped you out, man. Seriously, I hope it clarified any questions you had regarding certain settings. If you still do have questions regarding certain settings, please do ask me in the comments. I'd be glad to answer or help you out, or answer any questions. So yeah, subscribe if you guys want to see more. Leave a like. I'll be posting more Splitgate 2 content, and catch you guys over on my Twitch, which is where I stream most of the time, pretty much every day. It's been busy lately though, so yeah, we'll keep it every day. All right, don't worry. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Keep up, stay up. So.